Welcome, listeners, to our podcast where we delve into the most pivotal events of our time. We are your hosts, Valerie,
Marilyn,
and Sol,
bringing you an in-depth look at the Korean War, which has just drawn to a close. Today we'll explore the causes, major figure, and lasting impacts of this conflict, as well as the sentiments of those affected by it.
It's July 27, 1953, and the Korean Armistice Agreement has just been signed, effectively ending the 3-year war. But how did we get here? Let's rewind the clock to 1950.
Korea, a peninsula divided along the 38th parallel after World War II, became the stage for a brutal conflict when North Korean forces, backed by the Soviet Union and China, invaded the South on June 25, 1950. The United Nations, led by the United States, quickly intervened on behalf of South Korea.
The primary cause of the Korean War was the ideological clash between communism and democracy, embodied by the Soviet Union and the United States, respectively. The war was a direct result of the Cold War tensions that had been building since the end of World War II.
Let's talk about the key figures who shaped this war. First, we have the Kim Il-sung, the North Korean leader who initiated the invasion, aiming to unify Korea under the communist rule.
On the other side, we had Syngman Rhee, the anti-communist president of South Korea, determined to defend his country's sovereignty.
The United States played a crucial role, with President Harry S. Truman authorizing military intervention. General Douglas MacArthur initially led the UN forces, famously executing the Incheon landing, which turned the tide of the war.
However, MacArthur's aggressive stance, including his desire to expand the war into China, led to his dismissal by Truman in 1951. General Matthew Ridgway then took command, establishing the front lines and leading to eventual armistice.
The Korean War caused immense destruction and loss of life, with millions of soldiers and civilians killed or wounded. The armistice signed on Panmunjom established the Korean Demilitarized Zone, a heavily fortified border that still divides North and South Korea as of today.
Now let's hear from some of the people whose lives were forever changed by this conflict. First, a South Korean soldier who fought bravely on the front line.
We fought not just for our country, but our families and our future. The scars of the wars are deep, but we hope for lasting peace.
And from an American soldier who served under the United Nations command.
It was a tough fight, far from home, but we believed in the cause of freedom. Seeing the devastation firsthand, we can only pray that such a war never happens again.
The effects of the Korean War are profound and enduring. It solidified the division of Korea, intensified Cold War tensions, and reshaped global alliances. The war also had significant impacts on domestic policies in the United States, including the acceleration of military spending and the reinforcement of anti-communist sentiments.
As the world looks forward, the Korean Peninsula remains a critical flashpoint. The hopes is that the sacrifice made during the war will not be in vain, and the peace can one day be achieved.
Finally, we turn to the sentiments of the people today. There is a mixture of relief that the fighting has ceased, but also uncertainty and fear about the future. Let's hear from a Korean civilian reflecting on the war's end.
We are grateful that the bombs have stopped, but we live in constant fear of what might come next. Our homeland is divided, and the wounds are still fresh.
And an American citizen sharing their thoughts.
There's a sense of pride in what our soldiers have accomplished, but also a somber recognition of the cause. We hope our leaders will work towards a lasting peace.
As we close today's episode, let's remember the sacrifice made by so many and the enduring hope for a future without war. This has been our broadcast.
I'm your host, Valerie, with your co-host,
Marilyn
and Sol. Thank you for listening.